afternoon. My name is Jim Hughes, as Renika's just told you, and I'm the interim dean here at the law school. And it's my great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of all of our faculty, students, and staff as you attend this fifth annual National HBCU Pre-Law Summit and Law Expo. So I have to say that in attending this conference, you've taken the first step towards starting your legal careers. And I have to say that I'm really proud of you because you all are so far ahead of where I was at this stage of my life. When I was in college, I literally had never met anyone that I knew was a lawyer. I had no idea of how to go about the process of determining where I should go to law school, and I just happened to get lucky. And fortunately, I hope you have good luck, but you won't have to rely on good luck because you're doing the things that you need to do to prepare yourselves. So as a law professor and as the father of a daughter who recently graduated from law school, I want to offer you a few words of advice, if I might. And the most important piece, I think, at least for right now, is the decision that you'll make as to where do you go to law school. I think it's important for you to seek out a community that feels right for you. Instinct is a powerful thing, and you need to rely on your instincts after you've gathered all the appropriate information. And I would encourage you, to the extent that you have the time to do it and to the extent that you can afford to do it, to visit the law schools that you're interested in. And once you get there, make sure that you talk to a lot of people, talk to students, talk to faculty, talk to staff. Ask lots of questions. Importantly, ask the same questions of a number of different people because everyone has their own perspective. And so your task will be to gather all those perspectives, to filter them through, and to come to your own conclusions about what school is right for you. Every law school has its own personality, just like every person has their own personality. And it's critical that you find a law school that matches your personality. I'm going to tell you some things about Emory Law School because I'm very proud of Emory, but I'll tell you from the outset, Emory Law School is not the place for all of you because its personality simply might not match yours. And one of the worst things you can do is to go to a law school that for some other reason seems to be great, but you really don't feel comfortable there and it doesn't match you. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is that we all know that law school is incredibly expensive. And some of you might be from families that have the ability to cut a check. You don't worry about it. I suspect that that doesn't characterize most of you, certainly didn't characterize me. But one of the things that I would urge you not to do is to be daunted by the cost of a legal education. Pursue the schools that you're interested in and play it out. Find out what scholarships they offer. Find out what other financial aid they offer and run that all through the machinery after you've gone through the process of identifying where you'd like to go. The third thing I would say is that you have to recognize that no community is perfect. Emory's not perfect, Yale's not perfect, Harvard's not perfect, no place is perfect. But what is important is how the university, how the law school deals with the issues that arise among its faculty, students, and staff. How the law school goes about doing that will tell you volumes about the place. And that will feed in again to this notion of personality, to this notion of character. So now let me tell you a little bit about Emory Law. I know that this is not a sales pitch for Emory, but I want to tell you some things about Emory because we're proud of it, and I want you to know as much about Emory as you possibly can. So I think it's appropriate to talk about a bit of Emory's history. Emory was at the forefront of diversifying and integrating higher education in the state of Georgia. Back in 1962, our then dean, Ben Johnson, and the chair of Emory's Board of Trustees filed a landmark lawsuit in Georgia. And that lawsuit is called Emory versus Nash. And you may or may not know this, but at the time, in the state of Georgia, any private school of higher education, private institution of higher education, would lose its tax exemption if it integrated. And so these two men, on behalf of Emory University, filed this lawsuit to have that provision ruled unconstitutional, and they were successful. So now, after over 50 years of having integrated, Emory is a leader in diversity. We have an incredibly diverse community, and diversity means a lot of things to many people. At Emory, it means diversity in terms of race, gender, socioeconomic background, religion, national origin, political point of view. It means a number of things, but I can tell you and talk to students, get different perspectives. I think we're an incredibly integrated place. And so next, given that this is a gathering of HBCU students, let's talk a little bit about how Emory has integrated its faculty and its student body. Let's talk about some of the people who are graduates of Emory Law School. So the first person I would mention is Leah Ward Sears, who was the first female Supreme Court justice of any state in the United States. The Reverend Bernice King, who, as you probably know, is the daughter of the Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr., graduate of Emory Law School. Terry McClure, who is the Chief Human Resources Officer and Senior Vice President at UPS, United Parcel Service. She's their former general counsel, but got promoted to this position. Gwen Keyes Fleming, who is now the law firm of Van Ness and Fellman, was formerly the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, Chief of Staff. Patrice Perkins Hooker was the first female African-American president of the State Bar of Georgia. Also, we have a graduate who you might know of, John Lewis. Well, I shouldn't say graduate. John Lewis, who has a law degree from Emory Law School and from Emory University. He was conferred an honorary doctorate several years ago, and we're very proud of him. And in fact, we recently raised funds to launch a chair in civil rights and social justice named after John Lewis so that we could help his legacy to endure. I should also talk a little bit about the faculty, because it's important to see people like you as a part of the faculty of law school, not just students and staff. And so on our faculty, we have a number of African Americans and some African but not African Americans. We have Fred Smith, who's a constitutional law scholar, Dorothy Brown, who is a tax law scholar, Margot Bagley, who I saw here somewhere a few minutes ago, who is an intellectual property scholar, and we have several professors of practice, Kamina Pender, Nicole Morris, and Robert Parrish, and the gentleman I mentioned to you who is African but not African American is Abdullahi An-Naim, who is an Islamic law scholar. So all of these people help you to feel at home and feel that you're an inclusive community here at Emory. And so then what about your experience as a student? Here you'll have the opportunity to engage with what we call affinity groups. So as Renika told you, our Balsa chapter, 2 of the last 3 years was the National Large Balsa Chapter of the Year. And for 3 of the last 3 years, they were the Southeast Regional Balsa Chapter of the Year. And we're really proud of that organization. But there are lots of other affinity organizations that you might belong to. There's the South Asian Law Students Association, the Asian Pacific American Law Student Association, Latin American Law Students Association, Legal Association of Women Students, Outlaw, which is Emory's LGBTQ organization, and many, many more. We have just dozens and dozens of these organizations to help you feel at home at Emory Law School. So also, you're in a tremendous city here, the city of Atlanta. Like any other major city, there are a number of amenities here, but importantly for you, we have a very, very robust legal community. And you can find experts at law firms in Atlanta, many of whom are Emory alums, who can help you to find a path in any area of law that you might find interesting. So these next 2 days, again, mark an important step to you towards the career that you've decided that you want to pursue, and that's a career in law. And I hope that as you go through this program, you go through your preparations for law school, you'll keep Emory at the top of your list of schools to which you might wish to apply. Again, I hope that all of you seek to come here, and I hope that Emory is the perfect place for all of you. I'm confident that it would not be, just because of that personality thing, but we're eager to have you all here. So thank you again for joining us. We're so pleased to host this event, and welcome again to Atlanta, and welcome to Emory.